Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. Let's check my volume. I would have started this earlier. My wife and I, she pulled me into looking at the t-shirts. So we were actually creating t-shirts. Just as a heads up, while I'm checking the sound, I want to thank everyone who helps with the show. I want to thank everyone that helps with the show. So next month, August, is going to be, you could say, subscriber, patron appreciation month. We're going to be drawing t-shirts out of a bag or a hat or something for the people who are patrons or give super chats for that month or for that week. It's going to be once per week. For patrons, we're going to have an extra thing of allowing them to choose what to do a video on for a live show on Friday, or each Friday of the month, of the week. Each Friday of the month. Jesus Christ. All right, so interesting. I've watched an interesting clip today. I'm not a doctor. When I first started school in college, I was going for biology for like med school, and based on all of the times I've been in the hospitalizations, I have picked up a lot of medical jargon and a lot of medical information, but that's more related to my own specific case and cases that are tangential or close to my own. I am not a psychological doctor, and because I'm not a psychological doctor, I try to be empathetic when I'm dealing with people who I don't necessarily think are rap tight, who have a screw loose, who there's something not quite there, not quite firing, not quite installed. A few pennies short of a full set of a penny of a 50-cent piece. It's like messing with a bear because you never necessarily know when it's going to flip out, but you're perfectly aware that something is not quite right. There's a screw loose. Enter one Rachel Maddow. I watched Rachel Maddow weave one conspiracy theory and look a woman in the face, weaving that conspiracy theory. And the other woman didn't recoil in horror. She added into Rachel Maddow, listening to Maddow as if Maddow is giving her some special secret information that nobody else has, and that Maddow, within her conspiracy theory and her mania and her psychosis, is giving something to the audience. She's lost it. She's found a very long plank, and she's done a magnificent leap off of it. Fuck what's under me, I'm jumping. That's the Maddow leap. I found this to be amazing as I watched this. All of the stuff that she was saying was bunk. I mean, some of it was conflating words, like using terms like hack when there was no hack. There was other terms where she jumped the shark to we are in the worst case scenario, whatever that means, and acting as if Donald Trump is a Manchurian candidate and that he is an agent of Putin. It is an amazing thing to watch. It is an amazing thing to watch. Forget the fact that you can make an argument that Trump was harder on Putin than Obama. And if Putin has something on Trump, does he also have something on Obama? There's an episode of I used to watch a show, True Blood. I used to love me some True Blood. True Blood was one of my favorite shows on HBO. Bill Compton was my favorite character, hands down. And the reason why I like Bill Compton is because he loved Sookie. Like, he loved Sookie to a degree that was unhealthy. This degree of, I will murder everybody in this town in order to keep this one person safe. Try me, I will do it. That type of love. That love that's dangerous, but at the same token exciting because of how dangerous it is. It's a magnificent amount of love. One of the other characters on the show was Sam. Now, Sam didn't have love for Sookie in this way. His love was more of a wholesome puppy love. And when the show first came on, Sam was indeed a puppy. He was a shape changer. This show went on, I think, for like 2 or 3 seasons. And then you get to one season where you see Sam murder somebody and throw their body in a river. And you're like, holy shit, he just murdered somebody and threw their body in a river. What the hell just happened? That was Sam. That was like a puppy love guy. The catch to this is Sam hadn't changed. Your viewpoint of Sam changed. We used to watch Maddow all the time. And when you're watching Maddow and she's punching George Bush, Maddow seemed like a lefty's lefty. He's like, yes, hit him, hit him, hit him. And then Obama gets in office, and it's less that. Even though there are things that you can hit Obama on that was similar to Bush, it was less that. Then Trump gets in office. And she's utterly deranged. Utterly unhinged. My point is, Maddow hasn't changed. Our perspective of Maddow changed. What we thought was somebody who was essentially in the camp of lefty, it was more so just in the camp of being a Democrat. And you can be a lefty all you want when the person you're up against is George Bush. Take a look at this. This is... I hope I can show this. This is on YouTube, so I think I can show it. What I may show is I may intersperse it along with other pictures. So let's try it. Conspiracy theorists, Rachel Maddow, being used as a source of information to Joy and Reid, essentially the lunatics running the asylum. MSNBC, Conspiracy Theory Central.
Rachel Maddow show here on MSNBC. All right, Rachel Maddow. I feel like we have spent the last 2 years doing one story, right?
Doing a lot of one story.
Right, yeah. Doing a lot of different angles on this one story. And we keep, in a way, getting, I feel, tricked into thinking, okay, turning point, yeah. Turning point. Things keep feeling like a turning point. So I wonder if, from your point of view, having done this again 2 years, did Helsinki feel like a turning point in this Russia saga?
The thing that feels new after Helsinki is that the country's shook up and freaked out about it. I mean, the president being...
Just so we're clear, let's stop pretending as if the country is freaked out about it just because the country is freaked out about it. You and your ilk in mainstream media scream to high heaven that the president of the United States committed treason. All of you, in unison, one after the next. Anybody who turned on the television was going to hear people like you screaming that Trump was somehow a Putin puppet and he was committing treason. It was nonsense. But that's what you guys did. You guys took the hysteria up to such a notch that to say that the public is freaked out about it doesn't really necessarily say anything. It just means the public is reacting to you and your ilk freaking out. I'm trying to make the point, there's a difference in those things. There's a difference in the public looking at something and having the same reaction as opposed to the public being motivated to have a particular reaction based on the behavior of the press that I would call to some degree journalistic malpractice. But let's keep going.
Oddly and inexplicably and completely deferential to Vladimir Putin is not new. If he had been anything other than that, it would have been a big surprise.
Right.
Yes, there is something about him doing that to Putin's face,
yeah,
rather than presumably just on his bat phone with him, or however it is that they keep in constant phone communication, which is what we hear from the Russian side. But there's something about the fact that he did that in person, standing next to Putin, that shook the country.
Yeah.
And I don't think Republicans are excluded from that. And so I think what that means is that the president is not necessarily doing anything new, but all of a sudden the country has new clarity about the extremity of the concern about the president. It's not just, did the president get help from Russia to win his election? Yes, he did. How much documentation is there and what kind of evidence will ultimately turn up about whether his campaign knowingly accepted that help, or maybe worked collectively with the Russians in order to pull off their hack? That continues to be the legal battle that we watch unfold.
She just admitted that they didn't have anything on that. I mean, did they get help from the Russians? Yes, they did. And then the very next sentence dealt with the information, saying that the information was apparently going to turn up at some point during some kind of investigation. But there was no data there. I mean, ultimately, those were assertions. That's a difference in those things. Now, even if I give you the benefit of the doubt, look, I don't think it was a hack. I think it was a leak. That's the first point. The media has jumped on a particular bandwagon, has screamed to high heaven, has ran with this particular narrative full speed. Using the term hack is slippery, because giving the term hack makes it seems like it has something to do with hacking the election itself. What they're talking about is a spear phishing for John Podesta. I mean, let's be very clear what we're talking about. A hack, again, giving them the benefit of the doubt, even if you're saying it was a hack. A spear phishing on John Podesta showing that the DNC was cheating Bernie Sanders. That is not the same thing as an attack on democracy. Just somewhat as a flat fact. Whatever that means in a quote-unquote attack on democracy, that's not the same thing as an attack on democracy. And again, hack versus leak. I would make the argument that this is more of a leak, and the person who would know what this is, Assange, is sitting in an embassy somewhere. When the opportunity was provided for Julian Assange to give more information on this particular topic, Julian Assange has said more than one occasion that this was not Russia. Everybody has completely ignored him, and I suspect they've ignored him for political reasons because they want this to be Russia. They want the narrative. Let's let her keep going. I want to let her finish, because this quickly goes into lunacy and hysteria. I would argue to some degree that we're already there. But even if I grant her this part, even if I say, okay, Maddow, spear phishing to get the information for, and the problem I have with this term hack, they make it sound like it's electoral. There was no hack from the standpoint of the electoral machines. So let's let her keep going. Spear phishing, John Podesta showing that Hillary Clinton and the DNC was cheating Bernie Sanders. I'm supposed to get in arms about that. Let's let her keep going.
But there's this base level question. Like, maybe we've taken so many turning points, we've turned so many corners, we're back where we started. The basic question, which I think rung so loud for everybody in the country this week, was, is our president subordinate to a foreign power?
Yeah.
Does our president answer to a foreign government and a foreign leader? And that private meeting with Putin, where nobody knows what he promised or what he may have given away, the way that he responded to Putin when we saw him face to face, and then the fact that he took under consideration all of these demands.
Why is Joy and Reid looking at her like that? Joy and Reid. Wait a minute. Right here. Where is it? Oh, where is it? There's a, yeah, look at her. Why is she, why is she giving Rachel Maddow the side eye? She's looking at Rachel Maddow like, what you say, girl? What you say? I love that. She's giving her the side eye. Rachel Maddow is weaving this conspiracy theory, just working it up. It's like, what? I can pull stuff off my ass too, Rachel. And she's like, what? You don't say. He was doing what with Putin? Look, if you want to talk about Trump being controlled by a foreign leader, I'd say more so Israel as opposed to Russia. Like, you would have more of a case in making the argument that Donald Trump is being pushed and controlled by Israeli foreign policy than you would Russia. I'm sorry, you would. Let me let her finish, because I want her to make a point, because this point is, it doesn't make sense. It falls apart based on what has taken place during the time Trump has been in office. But let her finish.
The fact that he took under consideration all of these demands from Russia, including handing over Americans to Russia for interrogation, that just, it makes the worst case scenario really palpable. The worst case scenario, that the president is a foreign agent, suddenly feels very palpable.
And there were two.
It makes the worst case scenario palpable, that the president of the United States is a foreign agent. This is MSNBC. This is not Alex Jones. MSNBC. Mainstream thinking, at least from the standpoint of Democrats. Openly, loudmouth in a microphone, the President of the United States is a foreign agent. That's amazing. That's completely amazing. They say it with a straight face. Joy Ann Reid is sitting here listening to Rachel Maddow, like Rachel Maddow is has some informed opinion on the source. She's weaving a conspiracy theory. She doesn't know squat. She has no information, detailed information to back that up, because the stuff is hidden in the Mueller thing. That's assuming Mueller has anything. That information may never be released to some degree, only because those people are never going to stand trial in this country. Mueller could have indicted the Muffin Man for all we care. They're weaving a conspiracy theory. And Joy Ann Reid is sitting there letting her weave it, saying the President of the United States is a foreign agent. That's amazing. That's amazing. And by the way, if he's a foreign agent, he is the worst foreign agent in the history of foreign agents. The Ukraine, he's arming neo-Nazis. Obama wouldn't even arm neo-Nazis in Ukraine. What is wrong with Obama? Was Obama under, some kind of, did they have a P tape with Obama peeing on somebody? What about the bombing in Syria? I mean, Trump, multiple bombings in Syria. There was one bombing that he supposedly pulled back on because he didn't want to start a goddamn nuclear war, and they warned him that if you attack certain aspects of this country, we will attack you back. Well, he still did the bombing, and we're still in Syria right now. What about the Iranian sanctions? I mean, not the sanctions, the Iranian, the Iranian sanctions. Russia didn't want Trump to pull out of the nuclear deal. Look, I'm trying to make this point that they're looking at this through a very specific lens in a very specific context. And everything that happens, they scream at the top of their lungs in this hyperbolic way that Donald Trump is somehow a foreign agent, and that the other Democrats believe this nonsense because they want to have some understanding of why Hillary Clinton lost the election. I'm just amazed that this woman calls herself a journalist and she's getting on television screaming that the President of the United States may be owned and controlled by Vladimir Putin of Russia. That is completely and profoundly amazing. And there's more. Let's keep going.
Two ways to kind of look at the way that Donald Trump was responding to Vladimir Putin. He did seem to sort of shrink before our eyes as he was sitting next to him. Yeah. But there are two ways to look at that. Either Donald Trump really is genuinely ideologically aligned with Putin's point of view, and that he just shares his worldview and he couldn't hide it because he shares it. Or did, to your reporter's eye, that look like intimidation?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know body language, and I don't know that those two things are exclusive to each other.
Right.
The more that I talk to intelligence professionals and people who have brought espionage cases and all this kind of stuff, people who've really dealt with these spy movie scenarios in real life, the more you hear that the behavior of a compromised person who is effectively coerced because of something that a foreign leader, a foreign government, foreign intelligence service has over them, the more subtle the signs can be. It may not be totally transactional. It may not be, we've got this thing about you that we're going to expose unless you do our bidding, and so therefore hand us this secret. It may not always be transactional. It may be that there is just a fear factor where that person who is compromised knows they need to align themselves in every way completely with the views and the preferences of the person who has something on them. And so it may be that.
Does she hear what she's saying? Does she honestly hear what she's... They're talking about the President of the fucking United States. And she's spiraled into Donald Trump in Helsinki to Donald Trump, the worst case scenario. That's where we may be. That's according to Rachel Maddow. Worst case scenario. That the President of the United States may be a foreign agent. She doesn't know this. She doesn't know, nothing to put this on, but fuck it. Hey, we're spitballing. The President of the United States, foreign agent, Vladimir Putin, and saying, I've talked to all sorts of intelligence professionals in these spy novel scenarios. All right, great. As long as we're acknowledging that you're talking about something in a spy novel and a Clancy novel, fair enough, as long as you acknowledge it. And it may not be transactional, okay? So what is it? It may just be a threat and a fear that the person has something on him. We have jumped the shark. We're talking about... I find this to be amazing. She's weaved a tale. She's given you nothing. She's giving you nothing. This is something she's weaved up. This is in her head. This is something she's just crafted. They've moved from this idea of Trump and Russia, and even in the intelligence report, even Rodstein has not said that there was any link between an American and the Russians. Even if you go with the idea of the report they came up with, there was nothing showing a connection between the two things. She spun all of this. And MSNBC is allowing this to play on their airwaves constantly. You wonder why Democrats are so riled up and cultish and this kind of derangement syndrome? Well, here's the Pied Piper conspiracy theorist, Rachel Maddow. I find this to be amazing. This is what they're playing on national television. It's amazing. It's like she's lost her mind. Like literally lost her mind. Now, the catch to this is Rachel Maddow being serious, or is Rachel Maddow playing this from the standpoint of a political thing? Like, is she full of it, or is she insane? I don't know which one, if I'm being honest. Does she need to be dragged to the nut house? Or is she just aware that she's a political actor and that she's working at the behest of the Democratic Party and that she sleeps on a bed of money at the MSNBC and she needs to do what she needs to do and earn the bed of money that she sleeps on? Or is she functionally insane? They should not let her out the house by herself. I hope MSNBC has a walker or something with her. That's amazing. Like, I'm amazed at what she's saying. Like, she's just saying some outland. The President of the United States. She said controlled in every way. Well, I've just said there is no way Vladimir Putin would want Donald Trump arming neo-Nazis in the Ukraine, seeing as those neo-Nazis are going to be killing Russians. We have killed Russians even in the time that we've been bombing Syria. Pompeo himself has said that. Under the Trump administration, we have killed Russians in Syria. The Iranian deal. I'm trying to make this point that her argument, even based on her own argument of being controlled in every way, if that's true, he is the worst controlled in every way puppet that we've ever come across. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. She's not insane. She's just a caricature of a free press, just like Trump is a caricature of a free world. I like that. I like what you did there. I like that. Bob TV, both JT, both. She's nuts and she's getting paid to be as nutty as Bob TV. That's awesome. She's both. She's both. Truth is illegal. Mrs. Tree. All around the TV wackadoodle-doo. Moni G. I listened to that and I was like, she can't be serious. She can't be serious. Trump has shown nothing. Like, you got to give me something to give me this idea of what you're saying is true. Something. It makes perfect sense to me that Donald Trump would not necessarily say that Russia had anything to do with the election, because that would mean that he didn't win on his own steam. He doesn't necessarily want to repudiate his own win. Nobody would want to repudiate his own win. So I don't necessarily ding him for that, because it doesn't make sense for him to do that. That being said, they use that as a political hit point to hit him on, making it look as if, he's not repudiating himself because he's somehow controlled. Well, nonsense. He's not repudiating himself because he doesn't want to look like an asshole saying that he won with the help of a foreign actor. That's the first point. The second point, you have a better chance of arguing that Donald Trump is being controlled by Israel as opposed to Donald Trump being controlled by Russia. Just saying. Benjamin Netanyahu has gotten pretty much everything he was wanted out of that White House. Even saying he's gotten Trump to pull out of the Iran deal. Well, that sounds like influence to me. That sounds like influence even before the election had taken place. If you want to get him on something, that would be the thing to get him on. But no, they're not going to touch him on that at all. He's going to get a free pass on that one. But we're going to scream about Russia. We're going to scream about Russia. Trump himself can't believe he won the White House. Adam McDougal. Look, I think the most shocked person on the planet on election night, outside of Hillary Clinton, was Donald Trump. I honestly do. I honestly do. Let's see. I don't know who Steve Shives is. Other voices, other choices. Rachel Maddow is a mercenary sleazebag for sale to the highest bidder. We don't need proof, Jamal. It feels palpable. Rachel is in contact with the U.S. intelligence agencies. I know, right? It's like, are you really going to doubt Rachel Maddow and the godlike intelligence agencies and what they're saying? Take her word for it. Take her word for it. Rachel Maddow seems like an honest actor. Netanyahu said something along the lines of, after we use America, it can shrivel up and be blown away. I wouldn't be shocked by that, by the way. I wouldn't be shocked at all, Nathan. I wouldn't be shocked. Well, Israeli intelligence has infiltrated the United States and Britain. I would imagine other countries also, but definitely the United States and Britain using the military in this country for their ends. Now, and not even the military for their ends, to some degree wanting to use the military for their ends, or the very least for their ends for Iraq. But using us to cover their ass when they're stealing property and breaking international law, definitely. And we've taken a hit for that. Like, I'm sick of our foreign policy to some degree being dictated by foreign power. That foreign power is not Russia. That foreign power is Israel. Oh, I see. No, it wasn't. The Prime Directive thing, that wasn't a bad video at all. I mean, that was done in the most light-hearted of ways. That wasn't a negative video. His Star Trek Prime Directive video was directed at him. Yeah, that wasn't a nasty video. I like some of his stuff on his Star Trek stuff. Changing the subject, don't you think Steve Shime is a negative voice? He is a nasty radical feminist who attacks opponents viciously and goes about encouraging their censorship. Is he? I don't know him that well. I've known Steve Shives just from him doing Star Trek videos. There was like 2 or 3 videos that I've seen him do for the Star Trek that I liked. Now, whether I agree with him or not, I like Star Trek videos when people do those videos. I haven't heard him being a radical feminist or whatever you called him. Yeah, I haven't heard that one. I haven't heard him doing it. Or I haven't heard him doing censorship. Assange is going to be handed over to Brits to be executed by Pompeo. Journalism dies in silence. Aaron Matei is a Twitter war with Cenk about this. You know what's wild about that? Twitter war with Cenk is it's hilarious. He ate Cenk alive on this. Because they use this term of like hack, and they conflate hack with as if somebody hacked the voting systems. The goal of this is to conflate what actually took place with what they want you to believe took place, meaning that Hillary Clinton didn't lose on her own merits. She lost because of a foreign agent. It's the reason why they don't use, hey, look at all these African Americans that you disenfranchise, or look at all these Hispanics or Asians that you disfranchise using the voter mechanics that you guys have been using. They want to use this very specific hit point. They want to use this very specific hit point. Thanks, Jamal, for being very best. August, September are very super tight, but I am psyched for August. Super love month. It's my birthday too. Oh, yeah. My birthday is on the 31st. My wife's birthday is on the 2nd. And we got married on the 2nd. So August is an interesting month for us. Thank fucking God for YouTube in the face of the cable propaganda like Maddow. At least there's an outlet that might be productive to have local or even global human connection rather than. I like the way Jake implied Aaron was an agent. Did you see that shit? Yeah. Like, that's amazing. Like he said, like he has some other ulterior motive. What's the ulterior motive? What's the ulterior motive for journalists to push back against the Russian nonsense when everybody else is going in an opposite way? Yeah. That's... If you're talking about unhinged Jake, unhinged Uyghur, that's amazing. When did DNC become America? I have no idea. Jay Oliver, I have no idea. I thought they were a private corporation. They are a private corporation, but apparently John Podesta not being able to keep his information private is all of a sudden an attack on democracy itself. An attack on democracy. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. Adam McDougall, the Megan Atheists and Steve Shives went after each other. I don't know who the Megan Atheist is. Is Mad Cow victim of MK Ultra? No. I think Mad Cow is a Democrat. That's what I think. I think Mad Cow, Rachel Maddow, I think Keith Olbermann. Do you remember? I never forget this because I think this is immensely instructive. When Donna Brazile came out saying Bernie Sanders was cheated, and Keith Olbermann comes out and says she's lost her career. I found that to be instructive. Not, oh my God, she's right. Olbermann didn't care whether Sanders was cheated. He didn't say, oh my God, I can't believe that one of the major parties cheated one of the candidates who was running in the race. Oh my God, we can't allow this to take place again. This is a travesty of justice. He didn't say that at all. Olbermann said, you've just lost your career. Because for them, it's just a job. That's all. It's just a job. Rachel Maddow full well understands that that bed of money would be stripped away from her if she decides to go against what the network wants. When Ed Schultz made the decision that he wanted to cover Sanders, Ed Schultz was told not to cover Sanders. It was impressed upon him strongly, so much so that he thought he lost his job because he was trying to do such a thing. That gives you an impression of what takes place from the standpoint of MSNBC. Cenk Uygur has a similar story when he says he gets called into an office and said you need to go easier on the people, meaning the people who are coming in office. These people are millionaires. Whatever they want to call themselves, lefties, progressives, and everything else, ultimately, MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, those people are full of millionaires. They have a certain disposition of the world, and they've made it to where they are with the status quo being the way the status quo is. They're not trying to change the way things are. Whatever they say on their surface, at the end of the day, they're just Democrats, or they're just Republicans, and they need to be regarded as such. Hypocrisy is not a minor sin. North Korea shares a shred of border with Russia, so it's all about Russia. Should have alienated any sane person. Did you hear her say that? Said the reason that Trump was trying to make peace with North Korea was because of Russia. She's lost it. She's utterly lost it. Jamal, you should listen to what she said about Rachel at the end of the video. Let's hear the rest of the video. Yeah, let's hear the rest. It's not that much more.
They just line up all of their values, their policy positions, their ideologies, anything else that you need, so that they're never going to be out of step with the person who effectively controls them. Yeah. You don't need a pay me back, pay me back, pay me back transactional interaction in order to live as a compromised person and betray your country in that way.
You know what's wild about that? That's the argument that we use for corrupt Democrats and corrupt politicians. We would say, look, the moment that you take money, you're making yourself to some degree tethered to the person who's giving you the money. And they say, well, wait a minute, where's the transactional relationship? Well, Rachel Maddow, just like you said, you don't need to have a transactional relationship to be compromised, to be biased in regards to going about certain votes or certain procedures or certain tax cuts or whatever else that's representing the people of your particular class. I'm glad Rachel Maddow said that. I agree with you, Rachel Maddow. You can be compromised. Just like when politicians are getting a ton of money from super PACs or from Wall Street. Compromise. I'm glad Rachel Maddow sees that now with Donald Trump, but not necessarily see that when people she's supporting is getting paid off. Look, I'm going to put the link at the bottom because there's a little bit more to this video, and this video is a little bit longer than I thought, and I've gone like over 30 minutes for this one. So I'm going to leave this at the bottom for you guys to see for yourself. I'm amazed that they would say stuff like this when it's not dealing with their person. Like, isn't that weird? Like, she can see all day the tethers that are on Trump. Oh, he's compromised. He doesn't have to do anything quid pro quo. You don't have to see him doing anything at all. He's just humbled in the presence of the big beast man who can wrestle bears. He's just compromised. He doesn't have to do anything to be compromised. He's just compromised. It doesn't have to be quid pro quo. Now, in the case of, hey, is Hillary Clinton taking all that money from the Clinton Foundation, making her compromise? Nope. Doesn't mean that at all. I mean, her taking money, or politicians in general taking money, in no way is affecting their moral caliber in the least. Sure it's not. Sure it's not. All right, I'm going to end this here. Yeah, I'm going to end this here. She has gone off the deep end. Lord knows she's gone off the deep end. I don't know if MSNBC has a medical, I would imagine their insurance policy is damn good. At the end of this, like football players that have been in football games where they've rattled their brains to the point where they're pretty much about jello at the end of their career, I honestly hope that MSNBC is going to be willing to take care of Rachel Maddow and get her the help that she needs. I understand that right now this is the cow that they want to ride in order to attack Donald Trump. Fair enough. But I hope they don't let her go roaming about, left to her own devices at the end of her time on this show without getting the medical help in the head that she needs. This woman has lost her goddamn mind. I'm going to end it here. If you guys enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe. Of course, you can always support through Patreon. These are the lunatics running the nut house. Joy and Reid goes to conspiracy theorist Rachel Maddow to get information that Rachel Maddow can't possibly have. In which case, Rachel Maddow just weaves a conspiracy theory about Donald Trump being a Putin puppet and being under his control in pretty much every way, despite the fact that he gave neo-Nazis weapons in the Ukraine that are going to use those to kill Russians, was bombing Syria, so much so that he ended up killing Russians in the pursuit of bombing Syria. They didn't raise this up to let people know because they didn't want this to be an international incident. But Mike Pompeo has already confirmed that they killed Russians in this process. And the Iranian deal. That's a funny way of being completely controlled. But I'm sure Rachel Maddow will come up with some other theory to explain that also. Cenk Uygur used Nerf bombs. Nerf bombs. They have sprinkles when it hits the ground. They're just Nerf bombs. So, I will end this here. You guys have a decent one, and I will see you guys shortly. Yeah, I have more stories. So, I'll see you guys shortly. Alright, guys. Bye-bye.